Now look, there are criminals. And then there are people who don't only break the law, they build entire worlds where the law doesn't reach them. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy in the traditional sense, and he didn't want fame. What he wanted was access, control, and silence. And what makes Epstein truly disturbing isn't just the crimes. It's how carefully he designed his life, the people he surrounded himself with, and the psychological machinery that allowed him to operate in plain sight for decades. So tonight, we're not just talking about what Epstein did. We're digging into who he was, how his mind worked, and why powerful people kept surrounding him. Because Epstein didn't just move through society randomly. He curated it. Look, y'all sit back and relax and stay into the end of this episode because we about to dive right in. Now, Jeffrey Epstein's background is suspiciously vague. No elite family, no documented genius track record, and no obvious path to wealth. Matter of fact, he started out as a math teacher at an elite private school, rubbing shoulders with children of billionaires. Then almost explicably, he's managing fortunes. And that alone raises a psychological red flag. People like Epstein often exhibit what they call identity fabrication, the ability to reinvent themselves convincingly without scrutiny. I mean, they don't just lie, they actually perform. And Epstein learned early that confidence beats credentials, especially around powerful people who believe exclusivity equals legitimacy. You feel me? If you act like you belong long enough, people stop asking questions.
Jeffrey Epstein was my math teacher for the 2 years he was at Dalton. He had this thick Brooklyn accent. He was so personable and so charismatic. And he found what I think was a brilliant way to meet rich people, which is through their children.
This is the first clear pivot from raw aptitude to leveraged access, an early case study in how elite institutions can bestow social capital that shoots down the need for formal credentials.
Here's a guy who was smart, charming, cunning. He knew how to read people and get what he needed from them.
Who is Jeffrey Epstein and why should you care? While he excelled at things like mathematics, he was a bit of an average student. The guy didn't even graduate college. However, that didn't stop him from getting a job as a teacher at one of the most prestigious schools in all of New York City. However, not long into his employment there, he was let go for inappropriate and lewd acts with a student. Right after that job as a teacher, he got hired on to one of the biggest banks, hedge funds, Wall Street bigwigs in the country called Bear Stearns. This is where he learned to handle money. Lots of it. Right after this is where he started his own investment company. And he is known for saying that he only handled billionaire clients. We don't know which clients he managed, but the one that we do know is Leslie Wexner, who is the owner of Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works. Now, he managed money for them, but not only that, he got a lot of the perks, using their mansions, using their cars. Everything they had was his, and he used it to further grow his building empire.
Now, here's the mistake that people make. They think Epstein was motivated by money, and he wasn't. Money was camouflage, but power, psychological power at that, was the real currency. And if you notice, Epstein didn't flaunt wealth the way billionaires do. He used it as dependency. Private planes, private islands, private mansions. Every space that Epstein controlled had one thing in common. He controlled who entered, he controlled who stayed, and he controlled who left. And that's classic predatory psychology. Control the environment, control behavior, control memory. And in Epstein's world, rules were flexible, boundaries were blurred, and consequences felt distant. That's not accidental. That's design. And Epstein didn't just groom minors. He groomed everyone. He groomed people through gifts, money, promises, fear, and confusion. But powerful adults were groomed differently. He offered access to other elites, financial opportunities, intellectual validation, and a sense of being inside something exclusive. And this is where Epstein truly became dangerous. I mean, he blurred moral responsibility. When people entered his orbit, nothing felt clearly illegal. You feel me? Just off, ambiguous, and deniable. And that ambiguity was a shield. And people pretty much told themselves that, look, I didn't see anything. It's none of my business. He's connected. Someone else will stop it. And that's how predators survive amongst elites.
Here's what we know. Trump's Commerce Secretary, I don't know if he went off script and said, he goes, look, Jeffrey Epstein is a blackmailer. What was his talent?
Really?
Video.
Right.
Video.
Right.
Leverage. That guy that owns the Limited and Victoria's Secret, what did Jeff Epstein bring to him?
Lex Wexner?
Yeah.
Gave him a 77,000 largest private residence in New York.
What Larry Summer?
54,000. I'm sorry. It's a $77 million property, I believe.
But Howard Lutnick said it, and he was right. Jeffrey Epstein was a blackmailer. And, no telling what he had on all these people. I think Bill Gates got divorced. I think Melinda Gates, I don't know this, so don't.
Well, she said it in the interview. I'm sure you've seen the interview.
I've seen it, so I don't want to be sued for slander.
Well, I know a good law firm if you're looking for it.
We know how to do slander. But Bill Gates, Bill Gates loves women. Bill Gates, you ready for this? You ready for a little fun fact? When Bill Gates married Melinda Gates in his prenup, we'll go back to the beginning, that he could go off for 1 week a year with his old girlfriend.
Stop it.
Yes, Google that, Vinny.
Stop.
Yes, Google that, Vinny.
Wow.
How would that go over at home with Mama?
Babe, if you're watching, babe, no, we didn't have that in our prenup.
Yeah, I can go off 1 week a year in perpetuity with my old girlfriend.
Why would she agree to that?
Money. So look, Epstein goes with this blackmail to whoever and says, yes or no. And then they say, if money will solve a problem, I got to solve this problem. Because I don't care what, Epstein ain't worth
$170 million.
He ain't worth $17. But if you got a bunch of pictures with people pissing on you, nude and orgies, you got billions and billions, and think of what he could have lost when he was paying it. What if he had let it out at that point in time?
Yeah.
Now the real question is, would Epstein have ever really pulled the trigger with his blackmail, if that's what it was?
Now, here's an uncomfortable truth. Epstein didn't need to blackmail everyone. Proximity itself was leverage. And when your reputation is built on respectability, even a rumor can destroy you. Epstein surrounded himself around politicians, financiers, celebrities, and royal figures. Not because they all was criminals, but because they all had something to lose. And Epstein understood something terrifying. People with the most power are also the most risk adverse. They won't confront a problem if doing so risk exposure, embarrassment, or scrutiny. You feel me? So silence becomes the price of safety. And Epstein's properties weren't just locations. They were basically psychological theaters. I mean, the island, isolation, no witnesses, no accountability. And the mansions, them motherfuckers was basically big ass mazes. You feel what I'm saying? Like rooms within rooms. Privacy stacked on top of secrecy. And this is common in high control personalities. I mean, they created environments that disorient, overstimulate and normalize the abnormal, and when everything feels surreal, people stop trusting their instinct. And when instincts fail, compliance follows.
Right. He knew how to work people. He knew how to place himself in the company of powerful people. Will anybody that used his services ever face consequences? That remains to be seen.
Now, Epstein survived because systems aren't built to catch criminals like him. They're built to catch loud criminals, disorganized criminals, and poor criminals. You feel me? Epstein was quiet, methodical, and connected. And Epstein understood bureaucracy better than morality. I mean, delays, settlements, closed doors, plea deals. Every interaction he had with authority reduces consequences. Not because he was innocent, but because the system saw him as valuable, not dangerous. And that's the scary part. And Jeffrey Epstein wasn't an anomaly. He was a mirror showing how easily wealth overrides suspicion, power dulls accountability, and silence protects predators. And his psychology thrived in a world that rewards influence over integrity. And that's why these files disturb people so deeply. Not because of who was named, but because of what it revealed. That Epstein didn't operate despite elite society. He operated because of it. So the real question isn't just how did Jeffrey Epstein get away with it for so long? You also have to ask how many systems still exist that would allow someone like him to do it again. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up and also subscribe and hit that bell notification for more episodes. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace.